Will start for me. Perfect. Okay. So I will just get started. Hopefully everyone can hear me. All right. So this presentation will be on cat body language, and basically we'll go through feline emotions and the body language that we can see as a result. The We'll talk about the ladder of regression, consent test, and go through some examples at the end. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to just type them in the chat, and uh, we will be able to go from there. I will be trying to manage the chat and the presentation kind of simultaneously. So if I see something that comes up relatively relevant to the slides, I will try to address it, or we'll just talk about it at the end. Um, yeah, so I look forward to chatting with everyone about anything that you have to say. So, of course, cats feel emotions. They express them uh, sometimes very loudly, and all of behavior is just a reflection of an individual's emotions. Um, Everyone's emotional motivations are shaped by their genetics, their past, and their current environment. And everything that we see, we call behavior, just reflects everything that a cat has experienced in their life. Um, Identifying a cat's emotional motivations means that we can respond appropriately and have a lot better interactions and relationship with our cats. The little cat in the costume there, that is my troublemaker Zenny. You'll probably be seeing a lot of him in this presentation. Um, he is very expressive, and so I have a lot of pictures of him showing a lot of the behaviors that we will be talking about. So cat emotions can be divided into two main categories. We have the positive or the engaging motivations, or the negative or the protective motivations. Positive and negative are not associated with any like good or bad meaning. It is just a way to describe kind of more textbooky the emotions that a cat is showing. So engaging emotions are something that a cat will do to find resources, build and maintain bonds, kind of adding to their life. Positive. The negative or protective emotions are things where a cat is trying to protect themselves. They're either physically or emotionally, they're trying to gain control of a situation to feel more secure. So that's kind of the main two things. The both both systems of emotions can cause human conflict, either leading to the cat engaging in things that humans don't want in their house, or leading to the cat responding in with frustration and leading to some tension and conflict that way. So the a lot of the protective emotions we'd see would be like frustration, things coming from a pain situation, all of that sort of stuff. And when we're looking at the behavior of an animal, uh, that is kind of what we see as a result of their emotions. So everything that a cat does stems from something they're feeling, and we can only look at their body language and their actions to interpret that. So everything that they do is just a direct result of how they're feeling. Um, so if a cat is experiencing fear, they're going to engage in protective emotions to increase distance from the thing that triggered their fear. So in the case of the dog and the cat in the bottom, the cat uh, is making itself big. If it feels safe, it might turn and try to run away. So it's avoiding the situation, or it can try to repel the trigger by swatting. So both of those things are actions that result from protective emotions that the cat is feeling. And of course, we can never understand fully what another individual is thinking or feeling. We can only infer and interpret um, based on what they do. So we have to have really good observational skills in order to um, in order to identify their body language and try to guess the emotions that they are feeling based on what they're doing. And so when we're looking at cats and we're looking at their body language, it's really important to describe accurately what we are seeing. We don't want to assign very human things to a cat because cats are not humans. They're not small dogs either. So having more focused cat specific um, like behaviors like that you know about and be a little bit more accurate in how you describe what they're doing. So we want to look at every part of the cat, their eyes, their ears, just their general face, their mouth, their whiskers. What their tail is a very important part of their visual communication, and where their paws are, like everything kind of about a cat is going to be helpful information. Um, we want to uh, basically just take note of what vocalizations they're making, where they're looking, what is happening in your environment, and kind of do everything to be as accurate as possible so that we can uh, make more direct and more accurate uh, assessments on what emotions they're actually feeling. So relevant details to include can be who was there, what happened, where it happened, when it happened, and how long the event occurred. So basically who, what, where, when, how. Uh, we don't have to describe all of these details for absolutely everything, but this is always something that can be really helpful to keep in mind. Um, so if we're thinking of a cat that is super, super active at night, then we want to make sure that we keep track of when those events happen. Like, are they going wild and like attacking everything only at a certain time? Then that's a really good, important thing to keep track of, so that we can be aware of like maybe they need playtime around that time so that they're not directing it to our feet when we're trying to get into bed, or keeping track of what exactly happened. So like what was the cat doing? What did their face like what did their ears do? What did their tail do? Just keeping track of just all of the relevant details that might be helpful for someone else to identify the same behaviors and emotions in that cat to potentially avoid getting swatted at or bitten in the future. So some examples of subjective versus objective language. Um, so subjective would be putting kind of our own idea of what's happening into the situation. So if Roger was upset, that doesn't really tell a whole lot about Roger. It might be our interpretation, and maybe he wasn't actually upset. Maybe it was a little more complicated than that. So saying something like Roger's ears went back and his pupils were wide when I approached, gives me uh, what he did, what the event happened that caused that reaction, and who was there. So a little bit more information so we can understand more about what is happening to Roger. Um, if we say that Roger was stressed, like, okay, we can say Roger was stressed, but then why was he stressed? We want to say exactly what he did that made us believe that he was stressed. So having a lot more information on the who, what, where, when, and how can be um, just very helpful in actually digging down into why a cat is behaving the way they are. So when we're looking at the body language of a cat, we want to look at every part of their body. If we look at one thing in isolation, we were not getting the whole story. Their eyes can look one way for multiple emotions that they're feeling. So making sure that we're assessing ears, eyes, mouth, tail, body posture, how their fur is, everything like that all together can give us a complete picture of what's happening. And cats can also sometimes feel conflicted that like their ears and their tail may be doing something different. And so knowing that can be really helpful for us as well. So when we're talking about ears, cats have extremely mobile ears. They can be forward, and forward facing ears can be that they're listening to something. It could be that they are feeling a little bit more offensive. It can be that they're relaxed. So you can see that forward facing ears doesn't always mean the same thing. So it's important, again, to look at the whole body. But I'm not going to talk about every single picture in detail here, but I just have kind of a variety of pictures on the next multiple slides just to kind of show everyone that it's kind of similar ear positions, kind of similar, like, and the other pictures will have they just similar positions, but very different in a very different context, just to kind of see like the cat on the bottom right, that's my troublemaker. His ears are kind of to the side, which in for some cats and just in a snapshot, like a picture like this, could indicate that but like he's not feeling super happy about the situation. But because I know the context, I know that he's just listening to something behind him. So comparing that to potentially the cat kind of above him, which his ears are kind of still sideways, but I know that that cat in particular was just feeling very uncertain about the situation he was in, and so his ears are not forward. He's not relaxed. He's also not super upset. They're not pulled all the way back. Um, but knowing the context can kind of help understand the current situation the cat is in. And their ears can be very expressive. So paying attention to that is a pretty good clue for what they're feeling. And here's just a bunch more pictures, a bunch of cats with like very forward facing ears. They're all again feeling something very different. Everything to hunting and the cat in the field to relaxed. It's another one of my cats in the middle there to alert, the gray cat there. Um, and then the cats that are a little bit like little chicken kittens in the bottom. Their ears are all forward, they're all paying attention. So different emotions can lead to the same ear position. So context again is important. I put the cat in the top there just to show you what a cat having one ear forward, one ear to the side can be very conflicted emotions in the cat. But if you see that sort of ear position, um, it's just kind of something to keep in mind to go a little bit slower with them. Um, I'll go into more conflict behavior later, but kind of compare and contrast the one ear forward, one ear to the side versus the ears both to the side or ears all the way forward. Um, kind of a in between type of uh, type of behavior from the cats there. And then when we're talking about eyes, um, cat eyes are quite expressive when you're actually really looking at them. Their pupils are a really good indicator of their general level of relaxation versus arousal. So if their pupils are giant, obviously, they're it could be that they're in the dark for sure, or it could be that like if they're in a brightly lit room and their pupils are giant, it could be that they're very scared or that they are going to pounce on something. So keeping general pupil size in mind is definitely something to look out for. The shape of the eye um, is also super, super helpful. So the black cat in the bottom here is a great example of super wide eyes, super big pupils, um, just a little terrified of the general situation that the cat is in. The cat's eyes probably could not go much wider. You can see the whites around the eyes, which you can't normally see very well in cats. So, yeah, comparing to the orange cat there, that's a little bit more relaxed. It has kind of a everyone always says almond shaped eyes, which I don't really see an almond in there, but it's a just a relaxed cat eye. It's like it has a nice little curve. It's a little bit curved under. It's not like it's not a circle and it's not squinty. It's just a relaxed cat eye. Uh, And you can see in the top cats here, their eyes are a little bit squinty. So this is the cat, one ear forward, one ear to the side. Eyes are a little bit squinty. He's just not really sure about the situation. So he's he's giving me a look. He's assessing things, not really sure what's going on, not really sure how to feel. And his ears and his eyes are showing that. Um, and if a cat's eyes are closed around you, it could mean that they're feeling quite relaxed. If they are blinking at you, that is really important to cats too. So a fast blink could be that they're feeling uncomfortable. A nice, slow, relaxed blink is that they're either feeling relaxed or they're trying to kind of diffuse a tense situation. Or if a cat is staring, that is a sign that they're getting into a higher arousal state. So, just like dogs, a hard stare is something you want to avoid with cats. So, a cat that is staring is either looking to gather more information. They're not quite sure. They're trying to just learn as much as possible, or they are thinking about pouncing or going into an offensive aggression uh, type of type of mode. So staring is a way that cats will uh, control their environment. They'll like manage the other cats around them by staring at them directly. So being aware of where the cat is looking, are they staring? Are they blinking? Or are they looking away? That can be a really, really good indication of um, like how that cat is feeling in that moment. And cats really telegraph their feelings. They look where they want to go most of the time. So if a cat is looking at you and has a nice relaxed look on their face, that's probably a good indication that they want to come towards you. If they are looking away from you, they probably want to go away from you. If they were looking at you and then they are like suddenly looking past you, that's something probably happened behind you. So just paying attention to where the cat is looking can be really helpful. So the picture that I have here to show that a cat is looking at where they want to go is the one in the bottom middle, just really looking at that little toy. Just you know exactly where the cat is going. It's going to the toy. And then showing I just really, really love looking at cats' pupils when they're like going from kind of relaxed to the toy moves and they are just getting into that pounce mode. So just seeing that wide variety in their pupil size going from like really narrow to just suddenly massive, it just always makes me laugh. Um, you never really want to touch a cat when they're in when their pupils go into that super dilated mode. That is just asking for redirection onto your hand. So always pay attention to that. The cat at the bottom, um, pupils are really big, but I'll get into body posture later. But I would generally say that this cat is not really interested in hunting. The light from the room looks pretty bright, so it's probably not in a dark room causing the big pupils. So this cat is probably just a little bit nervous, and you can tell from the body posture that he's not super comfortable. So again, I wouldn't reach out for this cat because pupils are really dilated. And same with the cat on the left, obviously very stressed from body posture, which I'll get into in the next few slides. But looking at those pupils is a really good sign of whether you should reach out for the cat or not. And just the general shape of a cat's face can be just like when you know what you're looking at, it can be a huge sign of that how that cat is feeling. So on the very top of the slide, I have the feline grimace scale. So that is a way to tell by the cat's facial expression if they are in pain or not. So on the left, you have no pain. The middle is mild pain, and on the right is more moderate, like moderate to severe pain. So you can see the shape, the face shape goes from like round to a little bit more flat to quite flat with squinty eyes, the elliptical muzzle. The whiskers are kind of like tense, so they flare out, um, and the ears are flat and the head is down. So looking at the general face shape can tell us a lot about the cat's emotional state, even their physical state. So um, the middle pictures here are of my own cat. I know her very well because has been my cat for many years. But I can tell from her face that the left um, look at those super round little cheeks. Her ears are forward. Her like forehead is nice and smooth. Her eyes are very round. Like everything about her is just round. Her whiskers are curved. Everything about her is just round and curved. Like she's in a very playful mood there. Um, the middle is she was taking a nap, and I kind of woke her up to take a picture. So she's just like not nearly as round as that first picture, but still like a nice relaxed face. And kind of just everything's kind of smooth and like nothing's really out of it's just a regular neutral face. And then if you look on the right, you can see like her forehead is kind of like crunched together. Her eyes are kind of pulled up at the edges. So it's not like that nice round shape that you see here. It's like more flat across the top and bottom. Her whiskers are like kind of crunched together. Um, and like her muzzle is more like oval instead of round. And her face kind of looks more narrow and tight. So when you're looking at her, like she has chronic health issues that cause her some pain. And so when I see her making that kind of facial expression, I know that like should probably have a checkup, that I know that she's not feeling super comfortable in that moment. So I know to investigate a little bit deeper on like what is making her feel uncomfortable. And I can learn to help her a little bit better by paying attention to her facial features. Um, it can be obviously easier to notice those things when it is your own cat, uh, but you can still tell on other cats. Like if you get to know kind of like a tense muzzle. So the cat in the bottom left, she's pretty tense. Her eyes are kind of a little squinty. Um, I know from interacting with her that she was friendly, and but when I actually look at her, her face is quite tense. And uh, this cat had just had surgery, so that I learned afterwards, and so I would assume I would interpret from her face that she was hurting a little bit. Um, the other cats here, I have a bunch of different cats with just kind of flat elliptical muzzle shapes. Their whiskers are pretty like tight and close together. Their brows are various, like it's really hard to see in pictures on cats, but looking at a cat's like eyebrow whiskers to see kind of like where their positions are, you can kind of see if their brow is furrowed or not. Like a worried cat is going to have a more furrowed brow. Really hard to see in pictures, but when you're actually looking at them, you can kind of see it moving a little. It's not as obvious as a dog with like the wrinkles in their brow, but you can still tell when you're looking at them. And their muzzle shape in particular is a really good clue, and like where their whiskers are is a really good clue of kind of how they're feeling. So tight together whiskers that are like tight to their face, or like the really tense muzzle, the really tense eyes, like that kind of shape, all of that kind of together in their face can tell you that they're not comfortable, or they're not feeling very secure, that something about their emotional state is not, they're not the happiest. And here's just a bunch more pictures of cat faces for a variety. Um, when you're looking at the face for a cat that is uncomfortable, it is important to pay attention to their tongue. So if the cats do lip licks just like dogs, it's a little bit faster and could be more like a nose flick. Um, so paying attention to just like just a little lip lick, little nose flick. Um, it can be really fast and have like, but it's also one of the first things you might see when a cat is starting to get uncomfortable. That they'll do just like a little nose flick, and they're just asking for a little bit more space. Um, so cat, top left, I would assume that he's not super comfortable with being held like that. Um, you can like his it's hard to see with his face because just his general like his breed is just a very round faced cat. But I would again really hard to see in a picture, but like a little bit of like a furrowed brow right above his eyes. Um, his muzzle like his whiskers are quite like uh tense, like put together, compared to the orange cat there. He also appears to be licking his nose, but you can see right beside his tongue, there's a little bit of food. So he was just eating. The rest of his face is quite quite open. It's not tense. His muzzle's quite round. His whiskers are more splayed. So comparing the two, it's kind of give you an idea of like the the orange cat is probably just cleaning off some food from his face. And then looking at yeah, just all of the different face shapes that a cat can make. They're not as subtle as people kind of think. Like the cat on the top right, super round face, super round cheeks, really relaxed eyes, really relaxed brow, whiskers all splayed out. Versus the black cat is just that is not a happy cat. It's all very tense. And the cat in the bottom left, very tense, super flat elliptical type muzzle, squinty eyes. Um, the little hairless cat. Um, you can see more of his face. Uh, he was purring and quite happy. You can see that like he just without the fur, you can see like the bone structure, but he still kind of has the like little round cheeks and everything. You just see it a little bit more without the fur covering it. Um, That's this is my troublemaker with a little smile. So when they're nice and relaxed with their round cheeks, you can see the little smile. very human anthropomorphizing, but that is what it looks like. And then the cat on the tortie cat there, um, sometimes they will have like her whiskers are fantastic, but you can see her brow, like her eyebrows are kind of up and a little bit furrowed. Her whiskers are really out. They use their whiskers a lot to gather information as well. So just because her whiskers are like out and splayed and like her cheeks are kind of round, kind of the rest of her body is telling me that she's like still a little bit unsure. Like she has really wide eyes, really big pupils. I would say that those splayed whiskers could be a more information gathering uh, type of emotion from her. So again, the whiskers by themselves tell some of the story, but when you put it in combination with everything else, that is when we get a more complete picture of their emotional state. And their tail. So cat tails are like they're just giant flags. So a cat seeing another cat from across a field, they can tell kind of how the interaction is going to go before they get anywhere near each other by just this giant flag of a tail from across the field. Like it's a very clear signal of how a cat is feeling. Um, so looking at the position of the tail it can be up or down or straight out or tucked close to the body. Um, if it's like perfectly straight, that's a sign that like they're a little bit potentially over aroused. If it's like has a nice soft curve to it, that can be a nice relaxed tail. An inverted L shape, so the gray cat in the bottom it's like if you just like rotate an L a bunch of times and flip it. No, yeah, whatever. It's upside down L. So that is showing more defensiveness, a little bit more like of a aggressive type, like behavior of just uncomfortable. Kittens can sometimes go into like a wide variety of these behaviors as like part of their play. So they kind of like go through what look like kind of aggressive behaviors just when they're playing. So they can be really interesting to watch and a little bit confusing as they're kind of like learning all these different things. But um, generally, an L-shaped tail is like they're a little bit over aroused, they're a little bit um, like defensive, maybe going into more of an aggressive state. So that's always something to keep in mind. Um, the question mark tail is like a very inviting social type of behavior. So if a cat comes up to you with like a little question mark like hook in their tail, that's like they're looking for some social interaction. They're looking for like a little bit more attention. It's a very like cute little form of communication of just like I'm relaxed and happy to see you. Whereas just a tail just like perfectly straight up can be a little bit more of a I'm unsure about the situation. And then having the tail tucked really close to their body is more of a protective, like, I'm really unsure. I don't want my tail sticking out where it could be like attacked or got by someone else. So they'll keep it really close so that a little bit safer. And then the movement of the tail is also super important. Um, they can communicate a lot just by little flicks of the end of the tail. And is it going fast or is it going slow? I have the picture here where the tip of his tail is really blurry because it was moving so fast the camera blurred it. And he was playing, so he was aroused and pouncing on things, and his tail was just like the end of it was just like flicking. So paying attention to the tail flick can tell you a lot about like if they are engaged in what they're doing, if they're getting aroused, if they are happy with the situation or not. So that's always something to watch as well. Um, And I have the smooth or the piloerection in their fur. So the gray kitten again is demonstrating great piloerection of just like that poof tail. So that cats can express a lot through whether their fur is poofed or not. And I have just a little some clips here. So yeah, there's that little kitten showing extreme like hilo erection there, all that fur down his back and along his tail. Like he gets a little bit like uh, the the person is making him probably a little bit scared, or perhaps he's going into that kitten like but sometimes they do that when they're about to start playing, like pouncing and demonstrating like more play behavior. Um, I would have to see more of that interaction to know exactly what that kitten is feeling. And then I have another video here, if it'll play properly. So you can see in that video, the tails go through a wide variety of different positions. So it goes from it was nice and relaxed at first to both straight up and then a little bit of a curve, a little bit of flicking, and then you can see that poof starting, that inverted L, which is the piloerection down the back and along the fur on the tail. So there's like a whole variety of emotions being communicated in that like 10-second interaction. Let's see, I might have gone. Okay. And so then we're looking at just the whole posture of the whole body, everything that the cat is doing from head to tail. Um, We're looking at where their legs are, where their head is, up or down or middle, where their tail is, where are they facing? Are they leaning in or are they leaning away? Are they very active and moving around and like up and down, or are they freezing? And again, looking at their fur with a piloerection. I have a little chart here of the top left is just a neutral, relaxed cat. And then getting to the right is a little bit more aroused, and going down to the bottom is a little bit more fearful. And then down the bottom right corner is like aroused and feeling aggressive type of body posture or defensive. Most of the time, yeah, anyways, I will not get into that one. But yeah, you can see this cat here. His legs are far away from his body. He's like his everything is draped over the edge. He's asleep. So super relaxed body posture. Um, this cat is also quite relaxed, really neutral face, neutral ears, versus the two cats on the bottom left. The orange tabby is leaning forward, facing directly towards the cat on the right, and that tabby is like leaning really back, like really far back. He's putting all his weight on his back feet so that his front feet are free to swat if needed. And he's kind of turned sideways, like he's doesn't really want to face that orange cat. But it's also he's kind of backed into a position where he has to. So it's generally the orange cat is showing very like uh confident type of behavior, while the tabby is showing that like he would like to not be there. Um, the next tabby with the white legs, um, again showing a whole body arch, piloerection everywhere, fluffy tail. The gray and white cat is showing like a really protective type of body posture. All of the limbs are really close, legs are tucked under, the tail is tucked, it's getting as far away from me as possible. So that cat is feeling quite uncomfortable. And then the kitten uh, just a very relaxed kitten. Like everything's kind of splayed out. They're technically playing, but like they're more watching it. It looks like from that picture at least. And then I have a whole bunch of other postures here. So um, the cats, well, obviously that again is my troublemaker, showing super relaxed body posture, is doing some social roles outside. This cat is leaning really far back to free up those front paws to swat if needed. Head is low, um, generally looks quite uncomfortable. Um, Relaxed body, like relaxed sitting position with a relaxed curved tail. This orange ginger with the fluffy tail, like he's actively looking at something. He's leaning forward. He's interested in something, but he's not getting too over aroused by that. And then again, we have two of my cats where they kind of had a confrontation head on head. They're both a little bit leaning away from each other. Um, you can see just a little bit of piloerection on my tabby. Um, his tail is low, so um he's not like necessarily super like he's pretty uncomfortable and but not trying to like engage in the situation too much. Um After this they kind of just like walked away from each other and like shook off and uh yeah, so that's just they had a little bit of confrontation. They were showing that they were uncomfortable, leaning backwards. Um and just trying to diffuse the situation. This black cat, he's like leaning all the way almost off that stair, just trying to get a little bit forward to where he's trying to go. And then all the cats at the bottom here show um, various levels that you can like various positions that you can see when they're laying down. The the calico cat is a perfect little loaf. All the limbs are tucked underneath. Just a nice relaxed position. Then the gray and white cat, um, he's more in a crouched position with his tail tucked, so he's not feeling super confident in that moment, but his head is up and kind of just looking around. So he's just unsure. Getting to the black and white cat with the head is much lower. The the limbs are like even more tucked if that it could be possible. And so feeling a little bit more unsure. And then to the gray cat in the bottom right, head is quite low. All of the limbs are extra tucked. You can see just like feeling very protective and unhappy in that picture. And of course, we have all of the vocalizations. The cats are extremely vocal creatures. They have a ton of different variety in the sounds that they make, and they can all mean a bunch of different things. So again, my troublemaker, um, meowing for his dinner. And he's just like, I just love the whole head back, like just throwing his head up in the air to scream as loud as he can. And then we have, I'll go to the next page. So we have some other vocalizations here. So we have a growl and a hiss and a spit, which are uh, clearly paired with behavior we see from that kitten. Very defensive, very much trying to repel their trigger to go away. Um, just clearly an unhappy cat, which also kills me that I got this off of Facebook. That it's from like a comedy behavior, like meow comedy behavior. Like I don't know what about that is comedy, but I cat videos on the internet are interesting. I'll say that. Um, and we have this kitty. So, oh, we'll see. We'll play that again. So, that cat is doing a mixture of chirps and chatters. So that's something that cats will often do when they are kind of aroused and looking at something and sometimes frustrated that they can't reach something. So it can be super cute, but can also indicate that they're being like feeling a little bit frustrated. And then we get to conflict behavior. So obviously cats can feel more than one emotion at a time, and sometimes they will uh, kind of engage in these conflict behaviors to um, kind of calm themselves down or like relieve some of the tension if they're with another creature. So these are all really important things to look out for. Yawning when they're not tired, the lip licking, suddenly grooming themselves, like sniffing something, just looking away. All of these things, when out of a normal context, could be that they're either feeling a little bit frustrated or conflicted or like a little bit tense in that moment. So I have these pictures here of uh, my my cat went and sat by my other cat. She kind of looked at him. Um, he yawned. He was not tired, but he yawned. So she was like, okay, looks away. And he continued to avert his gaze to just indicate like everything's fine. I'm not doing anything. And in the first picture, you can see that she's leaning away from him. And then instead of running away, he said, I'm not doing anything. And she said, okay, I guess I'll stay here. And then they ended up just kind of sitting together for a while. So um, it's just a attention diffusing moment of just like we're okay, everything's fine. Um, but like the averted gaze is showing that like he potentially wanted something else from that moment, but to avoid causing causing any trouble between the two of them, he chose to kind of diffuse the tension instead. And so I have this ladder of aggression. Cats don't read the textbooks. They won't always go in this order. Um, the things like if they have learned that licking their lips and putting their ears out to the side, if they learn that those don't actually get their trigger to back off, then they might skip those steps in the future. So paying attention to all of the first signs of a cat feeling uncomfortable can help you teach that cat that their behavior and their emotions will be respected, and so then they don't feel the need to escalate. Cats that bite out of nowhere or scratch out of nowhere have had probably a long history of people not listening to them. So it's never going to be out of nowhere. There's always going to be something that caused it, whether it's never having been respected in the past, and so they just escalate to biting and scratching right away, or if they interpret whatever threat is present to be worth biting and scratching in that moment. They won't bother lip licking and blinking if like a dog is right in their face and they're scared. So that's why kind of keeping the cat's emotions in mind, going really slow, going at their pace, paying attention to their ladder and just not letting them escalate is it can be really helpful for helping cats remain calm, helping cats helping reduce their stress, and just having better relationships with our cats in general. And we have the consent test. So this is something before interacting with any cat, just letting them come to you, offering your hand or finger, and letting them say yes or no to interacting. Um, if they say no, make sure you respect them. If they say yes, pet them on the cheek, the chin, or their head for a few seconds, and then stop and ask them for consent again. So I've gone over this um, in my previous presentation, and I believe it's in a lot of the manuals. If you want to know more about actually like asking for consent with a cat, you can kind of come find me and we can walk through it together if you would like. But I always just throw in the consent test because I think it's really important for every interaction with our cats to not pet them without their consent. Okay, and now we are at some examples. I think I have about 10 minutes left, but we'll go through some examples. So just type in the chat if you have anything to add. Well, I would like to hear from you, so you can unmute yourselves and talk if you would like, or you can type in the chat and you can let me know what you think about the examples coming up. So we'll start out pretty simple with these two cats. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say about these ones? What you think about them or how you'd interact with them? And I'm looking at a second computer to see if anyone's typing in the chat. Okay. Well, I'll start us off. The cat on the left, um, very sideways ears. The head is quite low. Pupils are really dilated. Eyes are quite round. The muzzle is quite flat. Limbs are very tucked. So all of this telling me that this cat, not very comfortable, doesn't really want me there. The cat on the right, um, making like little biscuits in the air. The limbs are out to the side. Um, they're in a very vulnerable position, laying on their side. Like they can't get up very quickly from there. They can't run away very quickly from there. Um, so that would be like an indication the cat is feeling quite relaxed. The ears are nice, relaxed and forward. There's like um, pretty relaxed face, relaxed eyes. The whiskers are nice and splayed out. The mouth is kind of relaxed and round. So all of that is. I still wouldn't actually like reach in to like pet this cat. Reaching in and like over top of the cat would be um, potentially a threat for this cat who's like laying there feeling all relaxed, and then having someone reach over top of them might not be the best. So I would just do a consent test and let them sniff my finger first and see if they actually wanted me to pet them before actually touching them. And for example 2, does anyone have anything to say about this picture? Okay. Well, that's also fine. Um, so the cat on the left um, is crouched, has their limbs tucked underneath them so that, and like they're in a position that would show that they're ready to swat if necessary. Um, they're staring directly at the cat in front of them. So that's a pretty like uncomfortable and a threatening type of look. Um, their ears are kind of to the side. So generally, I would say the cat on the left is feeling very, very uncomfortable, very much like they are going to swat if the black and white cat comes any closer. Um, while the black and white cat, they have their body turned to the side to look a little bigger. They're also looking right at the other cat. Their ears are to the side. So because they're a little bit taller, they're standing up taller, they're standing over the other cat. I would say that this cat is being um, a little bit more offensive, while the is that calico? Sure. The calico cat is a little bit more defensive in that moment. And I have this little video. Have you ever? So I'll mute it and you can just look at the cat. Um, I now see that there's only 9 people here right now. So I'll just say what I've seen. Um, so this cat, you can see his tail flicking. He was kind of like he's either closed, he's laying with his limbs out, and then he goes and he bites. So people would say that that cat like bit out of nowhere, but you can see tail flicking, 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 like a little thrash there, and then he starts petting his face, and his tail slows down a little bit. Then he goes back to petting the whole body, and he raises his head, and then you can't really see his ears. His ears get petted down, but then body is being touched, and then it's like his head is up, and then he turns and bites. So like there were signals before the bite happens. Um, and the person didn't really listen. So that's that would be a moment when like the cat didn't really go through all of the steps of the stress ladder, but it was just kind of like it was flicking its tail and it lifted its head, and like all of those signals were not listened to, and that's when the bite occurs. And then we have this little clip. That's what you literally sound like. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. So I cringe every time I watch that video, just because I can see it from a mile away that that cat is just about to jump on the person, because we see the swishing tail, the ears sideways, dilated pupils, the squinty eyes, the mouth is tense, and then the cat freezes, and then the person reaches to pet him anyways. It's like all of that is like the cat is telegraphing how it feels, and the person is not listening. Uh, so it's 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 cats are not that subtle if we're actually looking at their body and their face. And here we have this cat. He has a yawn, and he's clearly not tired. His tail's flicking. His whiskers are forward. He's very focused on something. You can hear the like chirps and chatters. There's a tongue flick, a lip lick as he kind of leans back. So he's kind of like, I would guess that the bird or whatever he's looking at outside either moves away or he can't see it anymore. So it kind of diffuses his attention for a little bit. So he's like, okay, I'll lip lick and sit back a little bit. You can watch that again. The chattering, thrashing, yawning, very focused. Like even when he's blinking, it's like fast. Like he doesn't want to blink. So for a cat that is really focused on something, I would not reach out and touch them. Um, I would ask. I would kind of wait for him to take his attention away from whatever he's looking at outside and give me a little bit more calming signals before I reached out to pet him. Um, yeah, so never touch a cat when they are focused, especially that intensely on something else. We have this cat. She does a little spin. She comes forward, does a little rub, one ear forward, one ear to the side. She sniffs, does a spin, does a shake off. There's a little lip lick, spins. might not have heard it because I was talking, but she did a little growl and she started eating. Her ears are the back. Um, so this cat is very conflicted. Um, they did not appreciate having other cats in the ward. Um, they were interested in being petted and they were interested in having my attention on them, but everything else about their situation was just like a little bit too much for them, and they just didn't really know what to do in the moment. The growl was not an aggressive growl. It was like this is too much and I don't know what to do with myself. Like with all of the other posturing and the sniffing and then eating their food and all of that all together, it just tells me that the cat was just like not. It was just a little bit too much for that cat in the moment. Okay, and I believe that is my last example. Um, so if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can um, type in the chat, ask me any questions, or you can send me an email or just find me in the shelter. Um, I hope that everyone learned something. I have some other resources here that if you are interested in cat behavior, there's a lot of good information through those websites, or come and find me and we can talk about cats. So I don't see any questions in the chat. Um, and this is me organizing everything. Yeah, I believe that's everything. So I don't see anything in the chat. Feel free to reach out if you have questions, and I look forward to seeing you all out there. Bye.